The Ford government has released details on how it plans on using the new federal money here in Ontario. They've also released details on how they plan on dealing with outbreaks inside schools. We break it all down for you.
Today just felt like someone was responding to my cry for help, basically.
The extra cash from the federal government has some parents finally breathing a sigh of relief.
It was really the first time in quite a while that I felt cautiously optimistic. I felt like someone was hearing our desperation as parents.
Of all the provinces, Ontario is getting the most money, $763 million. It will be handed out in 2 installments. The first $381 million will be used this fall. Here's a breakdown of how the province plans on using the money. The majority of the funding, $200 million, will be allocated to implementing the reopening plan, helping to hire custodians, make HVAC improvements, and for more PPE. But critics are concerned there doesn't seem to be any specific requirement to use the funds to reduce class sizes and ensure physical distancing.
This is a government that continues to make the worst kind of choices possible. They're taking the new money and they're showing how hypocritical they are by not spending all of the money. All of the new money from Mr. Trudeau and the federal government should be going to reduce class sizes.
But the education minister says it will be up to school boards to decide.
We've also enabled $100 million of that $381 million to be used for other school board priorities to respond to the challenge. We've given them a maximum latitude to use the first $100 million for that. So, to be fair, school board could use all of it for teachers, plus the $70 million specifically dedicated to hire more of them.
The province also releasing details today of how it plans on managing outbreaks at schools. Here are some of the key highlights. A school outbreak will be defined as 2 or more confirmed cases in students or staff within 14 days. And once an outbreak is declared, public health will determine if a partial or full school closure is required. If a student starts showing symptoms during the school day, the principal will coordinate student pickup and designate an area to isolate the student until a parent or guardian arrives. And testing will not be mandatory for students who show symptoms.
Mandatory testing is a real hot potato. That is to say that compelling someone to be tested is something we really don't like to do. And excluding kids from school is something we really don't like to do.
Any student or staff who tests positive must isolate for 14 days and shouldn't return to school until they're cleared by public health. Public health will notify the school and determine transmission risk to others. Classroom cohorts will be considered at high risk of exposure and directed to isolate. If a parent tests positive, they're not obligated to inform the school of their test result, but it's strongly recommended children in their household stay home and isolate 14 days.
It's up to public health to determine who needs to be notified in order to keep the population safe. And it makes sense to me that the school should be notified. More transparency and more information is almost always better.
An outbreak at a school will be declared over once 14 days have passed since the last outbreak and there are no longer any staff or students with symptoms waiting for test results.